This past month has been a real eye-opening experience for many normies because this is the first time in a while that people's anecdotal experience has lined up with the data on climate change. And so you're seeing a lot of people are having a breakthrough. Like, holy cow, this really is something that we need to address. So some of these headlines, man, are just jaw-dropping. So Ken Klippenstein tweeted the following: Earth reaches hottest day ever recorded 4 days in a row. This is the hottest month ever recorded in human history. With Florida ocean temperatures topping 100 degrees, experts warn of damage to marine life. It's so hot in Arizona, doctors are treating a spike of patients who were burned by falling on the ground. Hospitals in Arizona, the burn units are completely full. 45 beds in one hospital, more in another, totally full. Searing Arizona heat wave that's delivered 110 degrees Fahrenheit weather for 30 days straight kills off state's iconic cactuses as locals bake cookies in cars and complain of melting roads. He also shares this: banks vote to limit accounting of emissions in bond and stock sales. That's great. That's great. So corporate America, of course, taking this very seriously. So let's dive into some of these stories here. So hot in Arizona, doctors are treating a spike of patients who were burned by falling on the ground. It's so hot in Maricopa County, Arizona, that people are being brought into the emergency room with significant, sometimes life-threatening burns. For the past 3 or 4 weeks of this record heat wave, people have been burned just by falling on the ground. Quote, summers are our busy season, so we anticipate that this sort of thing is going to happen. But this is really unusual. The number of patients that we're seeing and the severity of injuries, the acuity of injuries, is much higher, said Dr. Kevin Foster, director of burn services at the Arizona Burn Center at Valleywise Health. The numbers are higher and the seriousness of injuries are higher, and we don't have a good explanation for it. Every single one of the 45 beds in the burn center is full, he said, and 1/3 of patients are people who fell and burned themselves on the ground. There are also burn patients in the ICU. About half of those patients are people burned after falls. Quote, it has definitely taken its toll, Foster said. The area has been hotter than usual, even for Arizona, and that, expert said, means that the ground can be dangerous for anyone whose bare skin comes into contact with it. Temperatures in Phoenix top 110 degrees for the 30th day in a row. By far the longest streak on record. The old record was just 18 days. As of me recording this segment, I think it's even higher now. I think we're on day 32 or 33. Every single alarm bell should be going off. Everybody should be recognizing exactly what this is. Now, by the way, people actually do. The public actually does. What's standing in our way? We all know what's standing in our way. We have an oil lobby, a fossil fuel lobby, that has effectively bought the entire Republican Party, and then you have some Democrats, and that's all they need to do is buy some of the Democrats. Joe Manchin, for example. And then you really block any movement in the right direction. Now, we did end up getting the Inflation Reduction Act, which was definitely a step in the right direction, but it certainly doesn't match the scale of the crisis. And as I said a million times, and I'll say a million more, this is actually an economic opportunity. If we lead when it comes to solar, we lead when it comes to wind, we lead when it comes to nuclear and geothermal, we can get the patents for the inevitable new technology that we can then sell to the rest of the world. And so it should be looked at as an economic opportunity to change the nature of the economy, get off fossil fuels, save ourselves from this disaster, and do a tremendous amount of job creation in the process. Now, by the way, we already have, over $60 billion went to green and renewable technology, made in America stuff as part of the IRA. That's great. That's a good start. But we got to go further, man. So, I mean, look, every time I read an article on this stuff, it's like, this is worse than what scientists thought the worst case scenario would be. And so it looks like we've really hit a tipping point here, and there's no going back. The head of the UN came out the other day and said, it's no longer global warming, now it's global boiling. Man, that sent chills up my spine, dog. That sent chills up my spine. So, I mean, we can't put the genie back in the bottle, and I just fear how bad it'll actually get. You know, famine, drought, increase in extreme weather on both ends of the spectrum, trillions of dollars in damage as a result of all this stuff. Wars over water, limited resources. Anyway, I have to say this to end this segment, but if these things don't whip the world into shape and don't make it so the governments lead in a serious way, I don't know what will. Because what do you have to do? Hottest month on record ever. Hottest days keep coming in. Ocean temperatures over 100. Shattering heat records. What does it have to be, over 130 degrees for 5 weeks for people to act? I don't know. But this is unsustainable and terrifying. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.